The small business advocacy group Job Creators Network has recently launched the website NoSchoolJoe.com. I encourage you to check it out. It calls out the Biden administration's hesitancy to reopen schools across the country, despite President Biden campaigning on that issue for months before the election. Joining us now is the president and CEO of the Job Creators Network, Alfredo Ortiz. Good to have you on, sir. We appreciate this. I think it's your website's perfect. You scroll down and it's got a billboard of Joe Biden wearing a mask. It says, "Hey, Joe, we thought you were going to listen to the science and not special interests and open schools now." And here we are, 1 month to the day into his presidency, and the best he can do for us is kids back in public schools 1 day a week by April. Is that enough?
Yeah, the answer to that, Rob, is absolutely no, it is not enough. You know, it kind of reminds me a little bit, Rob, of my camping days when you'd have a can of pork and beans where there'd be one little piece of pork and you can call it pork and beans.
Right.
That's kind of what this reminds me, because they're saying that a success for the Biden administration in terms of school openings is 51% basically of the schools open for 1 day a week for in-person learning. That's a disaster. And that is just ridiculous and shows absolutely no leadership, Rob. As far as I'm concerned, what Biden has done, he's just basically has changed basements from his house to the White House because there's zero leadership on this. And it is just pathetic. And it is hurting millions of our kids across the country and the parents as well. Stress, anxiety, abuse is all up, depression amongst our kids.
Suicide.
This has to stop. And the CDC, his own CDC director, has said that it is safe to go back to schools and that the teachers don't all even have to be vaccinated for this to happen. So, you know, as far as I'm concerned, this absolutely shows zero leadership. Where is he, by the way? Or why is he not sitting down with the Chicago unions direct face-to-face, with the San Francisco unions, with all the unions out there in Virginia, for example? I mean, this is poor leadership, and it is impacting millions of our kids. And, Rob, I just have to say one quick thing. I want to make sure people understand I'm not bashing our teachers. 70+% of our teachers want to go back to school, but the unions are preventing them from doing it.
Yeah, you know what? And we get messages all the time. I get off the air and I'll see messages from teachers, educators, people who work for the school boards throughout this country. Teachers want to go back to school for the most part. You just said 7 out of 10 right there. The teachers they do God's work. My mom was a teacher.
They do.
It's an unbelievable job that they do. But for the teachers that are flying down to Florida and posting pictures on Instagram while saying that kids in Chicago can't go back to school, that's the issue right here. And I want to bring up something else. There was a bellwether study that came out a week ago that found that 3 million kids in this country have fallen off the grid. That's a real technical term.
Yes.
It doesn't mean they're not with us anymore. It just means they're not showing up to school, whether it be remote or in person. They've fallen off the grid. 3 million, that's the most in modern history. And that should be alarming right there. But I want to play you a soundbite. This is Joe Biden speaking with Anderson Cooper about in a town hall yesterday about kids going back to school. The president just looks confused, but take a listen.
Let me ask you, your administration had set a goal to open the majority of schools in your first 100 days. You're now saying that means those schools may only be open for at least 1 day a week.
No, that's not true. That's what was reported. That's not true. It was a mistake in the communication.
Anderson Cooper did not cut him off. He should have. That is exactly true. That's what his press secretary, Jen Psaki, said a few days ago. That is exactly the truth.
Yeah, exactly. And she's actually doubled down on that, and she continues to say that. So it's clear what the Biden administration has actually set as a bar of success. And by the way, coincidentally, if you actually use that, 66% of the schools are already there. So we should already be celebrating, I guess, because, you know, I guess Biden's already achieved success on that. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous, Rob. And look, it is about the unions. Like I said, I want to make sure people understand. I'm not bashing teachers. The majority of teachers are unbelievable. My sister's a teacher, special ed out in California. God bless her, because I don't know how she does it. It's a really tough job.
Yeah.
And like I said, 70% of the teachers want to get out there. But what Joe Biden is doing, it's clear here, right? It's not about kids first, which it should be. It's about unions first and kids last. And the thing is, it's not even about the dollar donations he's worried about, because about $232,000 was given to Biden, for his elect in 2020.
Yeah.
It's the numbers, right? If you look at, for example, the National Education Association,
Alfredo,
its members, 3+ million. The American Federation of Teachers, 1.7 million members. In New York State, for example, right where you are, 600,000 members. That's what he's afraid of, right? He's afraid of going up against these numbers and losing their support.
Well, it's just sad. The guy was just elected.
First.
He was just elected. He campaigned on this, and he's just not doing it. And for parents that don't have their kids in private schools, that work, what do they do? We're 12 months into this pandemic. At some point, kids have to go back to school. That's a fact.
Yeah.
It's got to happen.
Yeah. Rob, parents have to rise up because they can't count on this administration to do it. Parents must rise up.
School boards, you bring up a good point. School boards in San Francisco that are focused on renaming schools instead of putting kids back in schools, it's just a joke. Alfredo Ortiz, it's all the time we have. We appreciate it. Come back and see us. But thank you for your time. All right, stay with us. A lot more Wake Up America coming your way next.